What is the weirdest thing to have happened at your high school while you were there? NSW. Goat fell off the roof. I lived in a small farming community, so the senior pranks always dealt with something with farms. Tractors blocking the parking lot entrance. 4 pigs let loose in the school with numbers 1-5 spray painted on them skipping one. Well, my junior year the seniors somehow put a few goats on the roof. A day one of them walked off. I like to picture a stoner was staring out the window and saw a goat briefly fall before its demise. Our school had 3 stories for a bit of clarity. LOL what? My first period teacher was busted for fricking the students. Investigators found, in his office, lube, pee, pull-out bed, and candles. He was a weird guy. 2 guys that really disliked each other got into a fight in the middle of the hallway, big entryway to the front of our school. Kid 1 started talking crap and grabbed Kid 2's fake leg. He proceeded to pull off the fake leg from Kid 2 and hit him over the head with it. Kid 2 got pee and punched Kid 1 in the face. After punching him, Kid 1 got tackled by Kid 2 with only one leg. Principal wasn't pleased obviously. Separated them and grabbed the other kid's leg. They kept talking crap while he was putting it back on. I'm going to heck. I laughed so hard at the thought of this. A kid ran through the school naked while tripping on mushrooms. It was at night time, but he went into the boys' locker room and it was full of girls because the school was hosting a girls' swim meet. Later he said that he thought he had died and figured no one could see him because he was a ghost. The question is, if you died and were invisible, why would you go into the boys' locker room? A couple things. Some kid wanted to fight someone, so he went looking for him at lunch. About 200-300 students were following him around on his search. Turns out the kid he wanted wasn't even at school, but since he had so many people following him around he ended up getting charged with inciting a riot. Junior year 6 fights broke out at the same time. A bystander for some reason was carrying an entire gallon jug of milk around that day, decided to throw it as far and high as he could down the hall during the fights. It ended up exploding over some unfortunate little freshman girl's face. One day some kids on my bus decided to tell the administrators that the weird kid that sat in the same area as us had a huge knife in his bag. Turns out he did have a huge knife and a list of people he was going to kill. He got expelled. Moral: sometimes being a dong saves lives. I don't know why anyone would ever write down a list. Surely you must know by sight who your targets are. Some girl cut herself in class with paper clips, excused herself to clean up, and then came back with Bloody Mary scrawled into her arms. She was a psychopath and had one of the most evil laughs I've ever heard. I honestly feared for the safety of the school while she attended. My ex-girlfriend carved comeback into her leg after I dumped her and proceeded to wear dresses to subtly show the entire school. Well, best I can think of is the Amber incident. A bee flew into the classroom and this girl, Amber, was allergic to bees. She jumped up and screamed, "I'm allergic, I'll die," and ran into the corner of the room. This is where the hero, a boy who was called Raptor Boy because he spent most of the day acting and claiming to be a raptor dinosaur, jumped into the mix and yelled, "Don't worry, I got this," and swatted the slow moving bumblebee out of the air mid-flight. All was cool at that point. Amber ran out the door and left and teacher called for calm. For no freaking reason, Raptor Boy picked up the half-dead bee and ate it. Everyone just stared at him while he chewed down on this thing for about 30 seconds, then sat back down at his desk. Eventually, everyone sat back down and we all just stared at this kid waiting in silence. Even the teacher was staring at him. After a few minutes, the teacher said, "Alright then, let's continue." He never finished that sentence as Raptor Boy roared and ran out of the class full speed, making dinosaur noises and hopping like a maniac, slamming the door as he left. The teacher, stunned, just said, "I'm going to go check on him cause he probably got stung," and just then Raptor Boy runs back into the class roaring and swiping at people, grabs his backpack and runs out again. Everyone just sat there in shock until a minute or two later the fire alarm went off and the teacher stood up and said, "Alright everyone, dinosaur outbreak, to the exit." Well, best I can think of is, as if you could possibly have a better story than this. We had the crotch grabber, someone that would get behind girls on the stairs or in the hallway and just grab them right under the belt. It was really freaking weird. He turned out to be an exchange student and he got sent back to his home country. Don't remember where that was, after they figured out it was him. I think you and you Drama Dairy Diary went to the same school. A guy in my class put his dong on a sleeping girl's head and very nearly had gender-based harassment charges pressed against him. Almost the same story. A guy in my school put his nuts in a magazine and walked up a girl in the library, laid the magazine on the table and opened it to the page. The dean of students caught this chick giving a dude a BJ while he fricked himself in the butt with a corn cob. They were in the stairwell during lunchtime. No, dean was not one fricking self in butt dude getting BJ was one fricking himself in butt while getting a BJ from girl. It's cool dude, she's 18. We had a bomb threat at 1 PM. Out of the blue. We had to evacuate and the plan was to walk across the street to the middle school and fit the entire school into the auditorium. I was fully expecting to die that day because that apparently was the published plan if there was a bomb threat, and a truly intelligent terrorist would place the bomb in the auditorium and just kill all of us. Right? Because that's smart. Well, after that there wasn't much of a plan. Police were called. They had to search the school and the principal just had teachers spread the word verbally that we were just to find a ride home. No buses. Nothing. Parents weren't too pleased with that. It turned out to be a kid not wanting to take a test the next day. Someone dropped a 1-gallon jug of butric acid in chem lab. Butric acid is the concentrated form of that stuff that makes your vomit smell like vomit. It is an extremely odoriferous organic molecule and can be reacted with into other smells like strawberry, watermelon, floral scent, etc. However, before it is reacted with something it smells like puke. Concentrated puke. Which caused a lot of real puke. Which caused that wing of the school to be shut down for 2 days. My best friend dated the son of a para, so we got to know his mom very well since the child she worked with was at our school and in our grade. Some of our classes. I forgot my anatomy book and left 15 minutes in class to get it. On my way to my locker, I see her and the autistic child, whom we've known for several years, at his locker a little further down the hall. Mind you, the halls were basically empty and he was spinning around. I thought this was just something common with people who have severe autism, but it turns out he was urinating while spinning. She was doing all she could to stay out of the line of fire, all the while trying to tell him to stop without gaining any attention. I sprinted to the bathroom and grabbed as much paper towel as I could, and both of us furiously tried to clean up the mess so there wouldn't be more social stigma towards him than there already was. No one ever knew, but to this day, I've yet to see something more surreal than a human water sprinkler. I'm just picturing him going TCH 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 while doing it. Thanks to your imagery. At my graduation ceremony, we had a guy streak through the auditorium naked with a face mask on. Unfortunately for him, he was also the only black guy in the school, so the disguise wasn't all that effective. My high school was on the national news because of heavy use of steroids among football players. CNN came out and there was a press conference in our auditorium. The next day, all the men's urinals had urinal cakes in them that, when urinated on, said avoid steroids. The local news grabbed one out of the urinal and showed it on TV. This guy with compulsive masturbation disorder tried to finish all over my girlfriend's leg, but came on the floor instead. You really should get your fapping under control, or at least improve your aim. Walked into the old auditorium and saw sophomore girl 69 with my senior brother on the stage. One of the janitors watching around from behind. I haven't even mentioned to my brother what I saw. Scruffy likes to watch. Ooh man. On Halloween, a kid dressed up as Jesus and didn't go to class the whole day and developed followers, or disciples. As he walked around, he got sent home that day because he wasn't wearing shoes. Chess fight. We had a chess club that met every lunch to play competitively in the history classrooms, which had big glass windows overlooking the football oval. One lunchtime, a particular game of chess got a bit heated. One boy accused another of cheating. Things got loud. Then things got messy. The kid making the accusations got so mad that he picked his opponent out of his seat and threw him through, not out, through, the window. Shattered glass, blood on the bricks, paramedics, you name it. Chess is serious business. Another one. while on year 11 leadership camp. You know, the weekend retreat where all us year 11s learned how to become adults and slide into our year 12 school captain roles. 2 of my classmates left their cabins in the night and attacked a kangaroo in the nearby bushland, breaking its leg with a rock. Rangers had to come and put it down. That's leadership. Ah yes, chess boxing, a noble sport. Damn it people, I know chess boxing is a real thing, and was not aware that there was a Wu-Tang Clan song about it. Some kid managed to smuggle a tiny bucket in his backpack and take it to the bathroom. He apparently had diarrhea and a full bladder, then relieved himself in said bucket. When he was done he grabbed the bucket, put it above the door, and left. The next person that walked through the door was greeted with a foul mix of crap and pee all over himself. Really a fricked up thing to do. Apparently he was always picked on and never found a way to get back at his bullies until he came upon this ingenious idea. Today one of my classmates stole a car while drunk, crashed into a ditch, and punched the cop that came to help him. He is currently waiting for a trial and will probably be sent back to Germany. Europeans take their hooliganism seriously. I got high before Spanish class once. Teacher's chair broke because she was really fat. I laughed and laughed. Poor lady, if you are out there, I'm sorry now. Haha, I'm sorry now, but not then. We had a girl who looked like Danny DeVito as the Penguin call in a bomb threat from inside the school. The call was actually coming from inside the school. She got in trouble. Then I got in trouble for saying she looked like Danny DeVito as the Penguin. We had a bomb threat one day when I was in the 11th grade. We sat outside in the field surrounding my school for 3 hours. As the police's bomb squad arrived, they sent in a remote control robot which eventually found a backpack with some kids' homework in it, with wires and Christmas lights strewn across it, and a piece of paper saying bomb. A mentally handicapped student was caught giving another mentally handicapped student a BJ, both male, in the boys' bathroom, but the one giving the BJ said he did it cause the other guy gave him a Jolly Rancher. Jolly Rancher, we do not mention those around here. In high school, the chemistry teacher lit the classroom on fire. They were lighting methane bubbles. The scary part was that I had her for chemistry the next term. When I asked her about it, she said next time, she would do it in the physics teacher's room. It had higher ceilings. I graduated high school in 1971. I told my family that I didn't want to go to the graduation ceremony because I had heard there would be issues. I had to go, with my family. It was held in the football stadium. As I suspected, the ROTC kids who would march to the end zone with a flagpole and run up the American flag while patriotic music was played by the marching band didn't happen. Mean but extremely hot boys, members of SDS, Students for a Democratic Society, had captured the ROTC boys and taken them and tied them up naked and locked them into storage room. So while the music played, young men in ROTC uniforms marched to the flagpole. When they had attached the flag to the lanyard, the band started playing the national anthem. Slowly the flag of North Vietnam rose on the flagpole. Bottle rockets went off. Police ran into the stadium with billy clubs raised. There was tear gas. We exited, as my grandfather navigated his Vista Cruiser through the turmoil, and some kid was highlighted in the headlights being beaten by a cop. I said, "This why I didn't want to come." This is true. San Juan High School, Sacramento County, CA, 1971. I'm glad I kept scrolling. Whoa, that is freaking nuts. This was fairly recent, but my principal violated a student while his parents were outside. I had a few classes with this kid and it really messed him up, needless to say. I was heading to my locker during my spare block after lunch to grab a Pop-Tart out of my locker when I see this girl from another high school in the hallway. She used to go to our school but she got expelled for showing up to class drunk. Anyways, I see her in the hallway and I walk up to her to say hey. Before I can even utter a word, she runs right at me and jumps on me, giving me a massive bear hug. As she's hugging me, I can smell the whiskey on her breath. She lets go of me and I ask her what she's doing here and she said she was here to see a substitute teacher. Let's call him Mr. Williams. She had heard he was going to be teaching here today and she needed to speak with him. I'm bored during my spare, so I decide I'll help her find Mr. Williams. I didn't ask why she needed to see him. I wish I had though, or else I wouldn't have helped her find him. Anyway, we go classroom to classroom looking for him, and we must have searched 7 or 8 before we found him. When she walked into that classroom, he looked like he had seen a ghost. I have never seen a man look as scared as he did in my entire life. She gets right into the middle of the classroom, and in her inebriated state she blurts out that she's pregnant and that Mr. Williams is the father. She goes off on this huge rant yelling at the guy out about how he hasn't returned her phone calls or texts since the last time they had fricked at his place. She asks him why he hasn't returned his phone calls. He is just standing there in a state of shock, unable to put a coherent sentence together. Then she begins to cry and asks him if it's because she isn't attractive enough for him, and before he can even reply, she lifts up her shirt and takes it off and throws it at him. Then she takes off her bra and throws it at him and yells, "How can you not want this body? I'm the hottest woman you'll ever frick." Once she yelled back, "I just got the heck out of there. I didn't want to be around when the principal or any other teachers showed up." Hey, look at the bright side. You went looking for Pop-Tarts and instead got to see top parts. A friend discovered his pencil bag had gone missing. He often misplaced things, so he wasn't suspicious of foul play. After lunch period, he found his bag set on the ground below his locker and could not believe someone recognized his pencil bag. He rushed to pick it up, emptying the contents with one swift motion, including one gigantic turd. Someone had stolen the bag, had a friend hold it steady to his aim as he shat, and returned the spoils. This was our first encounter of the poopertrator. 2 incidents seem to stick out in my mind the most. 1. Some girl in the 8th or 9th grade was caught by a part of my group demonstrating her ambidexterity firsthand to 2 other guys in her grade. I heard she earned the nickname Handy Queen, so clearly she lived up to this title at the time. 2. A pretty big fight erupted in the backfield, so naturally news on it spread quick, and one guy in all his ingenuity decided to try and scale a barbed wire fence to get there faster. His forearm got caught and it basically sliced right up his arm, and he was limping back bleeding like crazy whilst holding a giant flap of the skin on his arm. That was probably the event of our year. The thing that everyone knew about is that the rival school across town welded a dong onto the bronze school mascot statue in front of the school. They just wrapped a tarp around it until they could get it removed, but people just looked up its skirt. The thing that only a handful of people know is a kid brought a bottle of booze to school when a few of them were working on an after-school project. Somehow my buddy ended up passing out in an inflatable inner tube. Another passed out on the air conditioning unit, and I don't know about the other guy. The teacher came in and assumed they got to school extra early to show her what they'd accomplished. They all just stopped and stared at each other, and the guy who passed out on the AC went and puked in the trash can. Of course, that's all hearsay, so who knows if that's what really happened. Stole tigers. Got punched by Tyson. Usual stuff. The Russian kid stabbed the black kid. 20-something old guy had fricked a 14-year-old girl he met on Meet Me in the school. Bomb threat led to us backing up cars with subwoofers next to each other and having a dance party. Fricking during school dances led to the administration amending the dance policy to say no horizontal dancing. Faulty wiring led to a small fire on one side of the building, while on the other some kid kicked a ball up to the sprinklers in the gym, causing it to flood and ruin the weight room. One of the math teacher's husbands committed suicide, which we later found out was because she was cheating on him with the dean of students. Not to mention the drug and alcohol use that occurred daily. We did not give a frick. And this is only the stuff that happened in my senior year. Brought to you from a small hick town in Idaho. We had a prostitution ring, a gambling ring, an ecstasy and C ring, and a fake credit card ring. All participants under the age of 16. Bad things happen when rich kids get bored. Well, the age thing got busted when a girl got pregnant and her mother complained about how it happened at school. All girls school. At first there were suggestions it had been a male teacher, but then it came out that the older girls had been sneaking in boys from the brother school for $20 BJS and such. Guess that one girl took it further. The credit card thing was the biggest deal. The ringleader's father worked for a major bank, so that's how she did it. Bribed his secretary, I think. She went to military school after that. Drugs was just drugs. Selling in locker rooms and such. That happens everywhere. I didn't take part in any of this, except buying the occasion gram of herb. Heck of a show, though. Also, No, I will not tell you where I went to school, but suffice it to say it was not in the US. So please stop guessing random states. This guy hung himself off our bleachers one morning. Apparently he was very depressed and would come sit on them every night just to think and relax, and one night after an argument with a family member he just snapped and hung himself. When we got to school that morning, all the blinds and the entire school were closed and the back of the bleachers were completely covered. Crap was creepy. A teacher of mine fricked a guy in the last year of high school. There was about 4 or 5 videos of it where he fricked her. She sucked his dong, etc. The whole of the year had it on our phones. It was great. I wish I was in year 11 again. I wish I was in year 11 again. I totally read that as I wish I was 11 again. Our teacher became a porn star. I don't know who was the first one to discover her, but he must be a weird dude. She was not pretty, not at all. Her P name is Belinda James. I can't find her, but I don't really want to look. Freshman year of college, some girl had a baby in the bathroom of my dorm. Nobody knew she was pregnant. Back in secondary school, I am in the UK, a stupid schoolgirl decided to give blowjobs to 10 males in my year group in exchange for a cigarette. They all went in her mouth one after the other. Needless to say, they were all expelled from school and we lost 5% of our year group. TL. DR. Girl gives 10 schoolboys head in exchange for a cigarette. This one guy at school did something to pee off a bunch of people, so they were going to beat him up. Normal. So the group of guys is chasing this guy down the hill behind the school. The guy gets to the bottom where a river flows by, strips off his clothes, he is wearing swimming shorts underneath his trousers, and dives into the river, freezing cold, and swims off. 2 sophomores were caught fricking in a bathroom stall while their other sophomore friend videotaped it. This was of course during a video production class. The videographer was quotes saying it was his best work yet. It occurred just as AOL hit it big, so it was my first knowledge of amateur pee. I imagine they are all now big in the pee industry. Me and my friends were walking around one day at lunch and we saw the weird, small kid that no one liked getting a blowjob from a fat girl underneath a stairwell. We called him Headmaster from that moment on, and eventually the fat girl wanted to fight one of my friends. Only one that stands out to me. The high school administrator's husband shot himself in the PE teacher's driveway after having discovered the two were having an affair. The PE teacher was away on a school trip that day, coaching the basketball team. Naturally, after the tragedy, the PE teacher and the administrator got married a freaking week later. They didn't come back to the school. These 2 kids got into a fight on a landing in a stairwell, but one of them was sick with the stomach flu. Some hits to the stomach and diarrhea was everywhere. They continued to fight in the crap. This event was henceforth known as the infamous poop fight. Our rivals put instant mashed potato mix on the field overnight. With the dew the next morning, it turned into a field of potatoes colon. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.